See him a beast when he hear that sound like yeah, beat on the beat when he hear that sound like woo. Yeah, bitch on the champ, only me one round like yeah, me, I'm a G-Ring.
UFC Orlando goes down December 3rd, and taking on Angela Hill is the number 13th strawweight fighter in the UFC, former Invicta FC champion as well, Emily Ducote. Emily, how are you doing? Thank you so much for your time.
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Of course, we're a week out from the fight. You feeling ready, excited, nervous? How are you feeling almost fight week?
Yeah, I'm excited. It's been a long camp, so the last few weeks just getting everything ready to, travel and get set there, but everything's good and just a little weird, during the holidays. I don't care. I'm okay with food and whatever, but just people have different routines around the holidays, right. So at the gym and stuff, but yeah, everything is really good.
That's awesome. And this is your second UFC fight. Obviously, your first one was a pretty dominant unanimous decision victory over Jessica Penne. Let me just ask you about that fight. First time in the UFC, you fought in Invicta, so it wasn't necessarily a big stage like you're not used to, but yeah, you fought in front of a sold-out Long Island crowd. What was that like, fighting in your first UFC fight?
Yeah, it was really good. I felt really comfortable. I have a lot of fights, and so I was with Bellator and then Invicta. So obviously the UFC is a much larger scale, but I did have like a taste of big lights, bigger venue. So I felt really good going into it. And, being in front of the crowd was cool because it's been a while since I've fought in front of a crowd. COVID kind of shut everything down. So I didn't, before the fight, I wasn't really thinking about it, but when I was there and, you hear the whole crowd, it was cool. I'm glad I got to do that and kind of excited that I get to do that again.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that was in July, correct? It's been a while since you fought.
Yes, July.
You're probably pretty hungry, yeah?
Yeah, I was hoping to get on like October, November card in Vegas, actually, so my family could go, but obviously not going to turn down a Florida card either.
Yeah, I mean, especially right now with the gross weather, Florida will be a nice little break in the sunshine. So in that first UFC fight, was there anything that you weren't expecting? Like, did anything surprise you, so to speak, either about the production or just the fight in general, or pretty much just how you expected it to go down?
Yeah, nothing really surprised me. I knew the UFC was extremely organized, and it was. So it's really, really nice. I'm an organization person, so I like to have everything, structured and scheduled. So to have them plan everything out the whole week and keep you on track, I enjoy. So that was nice. And then not so much in the fight, wasn't surprised either. I knew she was going to try to, hit the ground at some point. So I was ready for that, but she didn't actually shoot as much as I thought she would. So
dominant victory on your part. I bet on you. Thank you. So Emily, you're riding a 4-fight win streak here, going back all the way to 2019. Next weekend at UFC Orlando, you're fighting Angela Hill, as I mentioned. Probably on paper, your toughest opponent to date, so to speak, right? Very experienced. She's on a little bit of a streak herself, and we've seen her perform very, very well in the UFC, and she's a very active fighter. What are your thoughts on her as an opponent? Like, I also think she's your first ranked opponent. Does that have any pressure added to it, or you're just ready to go in there and do your business?
Yeah, she's got a lot of experience. She's fought a lot of really, really good people. I think she's a high volume, high pace type of fighter, very comfortable striking, just kind of goes in there and throws whatever. So I'm excited for that. I'm looking forward to that. I think she's changed a little bit in the last 2 years, kind of trying to be more well-rounded, add in some takedowns and grappling and whatever. So I expect this fully to hit every, aspect of MMA, which I'm excited about. I think it's going to be a fast-paced fight.
Yeah, I mean, just watching Angela Hill for so many years from an outside perspective, I'd say, be ready for the lot of hands being thrown, a lot of forward pressure. Hope you're working on your gas tank. Can you speak on that at all? I mean, how have you how have you been preparing for Angela stylistically?
Yeah, kind of what you said. She likes to walk straight in and just throw. She has, I believe, like a Muay Thai background, so she's been striking for however long. I think just she's comfortable throwing, and that's what she likes to do. So I'm aware of that, and more in my fight camps, it's more about fine tuning my stuff. We don't spend like, oh, they're going to do this, this, and that, so we need to do this. It's more just being sharp, being ready, preparing for all possible situations, which we've done. And yeah, I'm really excited for a fast-paced fight, because in my last fight, I kind of talked about how I didn't throw as much as I wanted to. So
Sure.
this fight, this is the fight to do that.
Yeah, I'm from a fan's perspective, I'm very excited to watch this fight because I expect both of you to go at it very hard, and you're both very talented. So it should be a treat for all the fans alike. Do you have a prediction for the fight, or do you not really do that?
I don't really like to predict. I like to get in there, and just wherever I'm comfortable is where I'll stay. And it's different every fight. I'm comfortable in different places every fight. Recently it's been striking, just more so because my opponents,
Right.
I've fought totally different opponents the last 3 or 4 fights. So I'm really excited to see where we end up and see, where the fight goes.
Yeah. I'm not sure if you bet on sports at all. I know Dana White recently said fighters can't bet on themselves anyways, but plenty of people watching this will bet on the fight. Right now, you're sitting at a -130 favorite. Do you bet at all? Do you understand what that means?
So I understand what it means, but I
sure.
don't bet. People tell me all the time that they bet, or they're going to bet at me or whatever. I don't really play into any of the betting stuff. That's not,
Sure.
I don't do it. So I just don't.
I have some fun with it, but I don't do it too crazy. But -130 favorite, the slight favorite here. What are your thoughts on those odds, and like how it seems Vegas is respecting you based on the odds, so to speak?
Yeah. Odds are crazy just because it's people, and people are they go back and forth. So, I mean, it's cool, but I'm not worried about it. I don't really put a whole lot of thought into that type of thing. But what I will say is I am glad that, the fans seem to be picking up like what I'm trying to do. Like my last fight, before my fight, I said I wanted to be, very sharp, very smart. And afterwards, that's what I saw kind of the response was. And so that makes me really happy to see that people are seeing what I'm trying to show. So I look to build off that performance in this fight and just kind of show more skills than I have in the past.
Absolutely. And I mean, based off of Twitter after your last performance, there's nothing but praise from you. So people are certainly realizing your skill and potential. Did you spend your camp at AT&T OKC? Is that like your main home?
Yeah, that is my home. So obviously there's the Coconut Creek. It's a branch of the Coconut Creek. But it's a small gym, Oklahoma City. And I've been here my entire career. Yeah. Every fight that an amateur pro has all been at this gym. And we bring in girls, or we make trips and make sure that I get everything I need for camp. So small gym or not, I'm getting everything done.
And I mean, AT&T, whether it doesn't really matter the size of the gym, it's still a great name and a great gym, no matter where you go, really. Who are some of your training partners, coaches, and teammates at your Oklahoma City space?
So the gym owner, head coach is Giuliano Galuppi. He has been my head coach for my entire career. And I've got several coaches, wrestling coach, kickboxing coach, Muay Thai coach, and a bunch of really good training partners here. The cool thing is that it's a small gym, and these people have been with me for years and years. So, but they're, it's crazy because they're not all fighters. They're like people that just like to train, and they just happen to be really good, people that fight themselves, pro, amateur. So I have a really, really good group of training partners that come whenever I ask and do whatever training session that we need to get done. So I have everything here. And I also have a really good little group of girls that are outside of the gym that I either travel to or they come and train with. So everything's been really good the last few camps. It's different every camp, the rotation of people. Some people are busy, some people aren't. So I'm really pleased with this camp. I had double the amount of time as I did my first fight. So everything was a little bit better planned.
Well, and you also had that first fight to go off of, you saw some UFC caliber opponents, so to speak. Was there anything that you saw in that first fight that either based off yourself or based off of your opponent, or just even based off the environment that you put to work in training camp for this coming fight? And I don't want to rat you out or give too much away, obviously. So,
yeah. like I said, more just building off my last performance. I always just want to come in and be a better version of myself. So I don't really put a whole lot of emphasis on the other person. You know, I obviously watch them, and I know I've watched all of these girls for a long time. So pretty familiar with them, but more so just sharpening up my skills and getting comfortable everywhere. You know, if I was in that fight and uncomfortable in my debut at some point in that fight, then I went back and I worked on it to make sure that I'm comfortable wherever it goes.
Love it. Are you the only UFC fighter in your gym? And I ask that because, you know, the gym I go to, gyms around me, when it just seems like the highest level fighter in the gym, so to speak, is like the leader, just based on everyone's mentality. So I just kind of wanted to know if that's your role at the gym. And if it is, like, how does that feel? What does that mean to you?
Yeah, at ATT OKC, I am the only fighter in the UFC. We've got several fighters, and then some of the girls that I train with or that come or I've traveled to, they are also, you know, high level fighters. Mallory Martin was in the UFC, and now she's just signed with a different show. And Hillary Rose, Jessica Delboni, who is Jessica Andrade's training partner. So I make sure that I get all the looks that I need for any fight. But yeah, as far as, you know, in the gym, I like to kind of like mother the girls that we have. Not so much everybody or all the fighters, but I especially take care of the girls, put together training for them. Anyone that wants to compete, trying to just get them doing that, whether it's jujitsu or kickboxing or MMA, whatever. If they want to compete, I want to help. So that's something I enjoy doing. I enjoy teaching women anyways, kind of what I do. Not so much right now, but, you know, after my fights, I teach classes and I enjoy that.
Yeah, that's awesome. And just like, you know, being someone who trains every now and then, going to a gym, looking at the guys who are like the top dogs of the gym, you know, it's just like, just watching them out of the corner of your eye or something, you learn so much. So it's great that you're there to be that role model to so many other girls at your gym. Emily, if you're able to at all, a lot of fighters can't do this. So if you're one of those, just tell me and I'll buzz off. But if you're able to look past this fight at all, right, into the future, I assume a win here puts you into the top 10 of the division. You're number 13 now. I think Angela's number 12. If that is the case, is there anyone in particular you'd like to fight next, or at least fight someday soon?
I don't really look past anything. I like to take it one fight, one opponent at a time. And then just generalized, I do want to climb the rankings, but slowly. I'm in no rush. I'm by no means going to call out like a top 5 or a top 10. I'm just going to continue to fight, get whatever matchmaking happens. I'll just accept that. I've had a long career, so I feel like any fight that I get offered is just a fight that I need to take, you know, learning lessons with whatever opponent it is. So I have no one specific, just whoever gets offered is who I think that I need to fight. And so that's pretty much it. Simple.
Sure. Very simple. Now, obviously, you know, your goal is the title. Do you have, like, in a perfect scenario, if you could lay it out yourself and get a win every time, how many fights do you think that would be until you get your shot?
No rush at all.
Yeah. Very young. You're 28 years old. You have plenty of time.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's definitely obviously the goal, but I just want to do it slowly. I feel like I see a lot of people immediately want to jump into the rankings or want a few fights and then want a title fight, but that's not my style at all. I just want to build slowly, improve to where I feel like I'm, you know, the best I've ever been, and then look for those higher level fights that will put me in that placement. But yeah, no rush. I still have quite a bit of time, and I just want to climb the rankings slowly.
Sure. And I mean, obviously the matchmakers put a lot of value on you anyways. You're already number 13 fighting a number 12. So I think that climb to the top will be pretty fast compared to what you're thinking maybe, but I understand wanting to take your time. And I think that is absolutely the smart way to go about it. Too many prospects get in there and just get starched when it doesn't need to happen. So build properly. So, you know, talking about that, what are your like ultimate career goals, so to speak? Obviously you mentioned the title shot. I'm just talking like, you know, when it's all said and done, what's everything you wanted to say you've done in the sport of martial arts?
Well, a big thing for me was to even make it to the UFC. Like I knew that I was good enough and that I was, at that level, but not everyone skill wise makes it to where they should be. So, it's hard enough to get there in the first place. So, I had a long time, Bellator and Invicta, and I had like ups and downs in my career. So it took me a long time to get here. So I'm, phase one in the UFC was a big thing for me. So there, and then I just want to fight the best of the best. That's why I do this in the first place. I don't want easy fights. I never have, and I want to challenge myself against the best in the world. And the entire strawweight division is pretty much that. So just slowly, one fight at a time. But I want to fight the best, and obviously down the line, fight for a belt. I fought for a belt in Bellator, in Invicta, and I look to do that someday for the UFC.
Love it. Love it. And just talking about fighting the best, I mean, over my shoulder right here is the UFC 281 poster that went down a couple weeks ago. Obviously, the champion of your division, strawweight division, Zhang Weili, got her belt over Carla Esparza. I assume you're a fan of the sport as well as a fighter. Did you watch that fight?
Yes, of course. And I wasn't really surprised by that result. But yeah, Weili's really, really good. And it's exciting because the whole division rises to that. So I expect to see a lot of really good fights and matchups coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously you said you want to climb the ladder, so I'm not going to ask you about fighting Weili right now, but maybe in 5 years or so, is that a fight that you could see happening? And if you could, is that a fight that interests you? I mean, even if it's just from saying you fought Weili Zhang, the best in the world, like that's got to be awesome to say, Right.
So much can change and happen in that amount of time. But yeah, of course, she's considered the best in the world. So I would, that's on my list of things to do, fight the very best.
Yeah. That would be an awesome fight someday. And I fully expect you to be at the top there, and we'll see where she's at. So Emily, I'm sure you've been talking fighting, training fighting, nothing on your mind but fighting recently. So let's stop doing that for at least 2 minutes here. Let me just ask you about Emily the person when you're not Emily the fighter. Like if there is ever a time where you're not training, where you're not fighting, where you're not coaching or helping others, how do you spend your time? Do you have any like hobbies or interests outside of the cage?
So I thoroughly enjoy martial arts, like the lifestyle, big schedule person, big routine person. So I love it. That's part of the reason why I love training camp, just because it's so structured and scheduled. And I just like to have that. I just feel like I'm my best self when I'm on track, organized. So I like that. So with that being said, I do not do a whole lot outside the gym, sure. But anything out of the gym would probably involve dogs. I've got dogs. Yeah. I love rescue dogs. So, I try to fundraise sometimes, share so many pictures, try to harass all my friends to adopt dogs. So if also dog training, I have some really, really cool friends and sponsors here in Oklahoma City for dog training. So we do that. If I'm out of the gym, I probably have a dog and we're probably doing something.
Well, I before we did our interview, I messaged you that I was like 2 minutes late because my dog was needing to go outside. So I also love dogs, and I have a rescue dog of my own. I've had several rescue dogs, so that's great to hear. How many dogs do you personally have?
I have a pack.
Oh yeah,
pack of dogs. Yes.
How big's the pack?
The pack is 6 dogs.
What kind of dogs are we talking?
They're all pit mixes, rescue.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, I got a little Staffordshire Terrier, so a pit bull essentially.
Yes, rescue pits are my favorite. I have a very soft spot for them.
Yeah, me too, 100%. My old girl Boomy, who passed away, I got her tattooed on my arm with her ashes. My little rescue pit bull.
Love it.
So yeah, soft spot for the dogs. I love that you had that on your page. Another thing you have front and center on your page, and actually I got to ask you because I read about it, but I want to have you tell me, your nickname Gordinha, right? You also have on your page a donut emoji, and I read somewhere that your nickname stems from your love of donuts. So I just want to have you walk that down for me because I don't want to speak for you.
Yes. So Gordinha is Portuguese. My coach is Brazilian, so it's like little chunky. When I started it at the gym, I treated myself, I guess, a little bit too much. And donuts are kind of my treat of choice. And I actually have a really cool donut sponsor, Hertz Donuts, here in Oklahoma City. So I just, everything donuts, pretty much.
I see you post them on your page. I wasn't sure if they were a sponsor or not. What's your favorite kind of donut?
Maple bacon.
Maple bacon. I never had that, but that sounds
Oh,
good.
Yeah. Yep, it is.
I'm a Boston cream guy, but maple bacon might take the cake if I try
You'll
that
have
someday.
to try it.
Yeah. So another thing I wanted to ask about coming up is the holidays. And I noticed that your birthday is January 1st. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
That's like an awesome birthday. Are you indifferent to that? Because like me being a random middle of April birthday, like New Year's Day, that's such a cool birthday.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy just because it's all back to back, like Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's.
Yeah.
So it kind of gets bundled sometimes, which is cool. I don't mind.
Do you have any holidays plans after the fight, or you're just looking to fight, rest up, eat well, and enjoy the time with family?
Yes. So I skipped over Thanksgiving, so I will do a double Christmas. But other than that, I have no plans.
Love it. That's got to be the best time to fight, in my opinion. You know, beat someone up and then take the winner off with the that's great. But Emily, before we get out of here, I just want to give you the chance. You know, you're gonna have a lot of eyes on you coming up. Hashtag UFC Orlando going to be all over the timeline. You have fans, supporters, friends, and family. Let me just give you the opportunity. Is there anything you'd like to say to everybody? The mic is yours.
I get a lot of questions of where to follow me. I
I'll
post
link
the
all
most.
that too.
Okay. I post the most on Instagram. So if you want to keep up with me and my dogs, that's where to best do it. But other than that, I'm just really excited to fight soon.
Yes, ma'am. Emily, thank you so much again. I really appreciate your time. Like I said, I will link your socials below. So everybody, please go follow Emily, but do not miss it. December 3rd, UFC Orlando goes down, and Emily is going to get that dub over Angela Hill. Emily, thank you so much. Have a great fight week next week. And when you get that dubby, I'll be back in them DMs and we'll do it again. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Of course.